It's been said that experience is the best teacher, and the worst experiences offer the best lessons. So naturally, prior to writing and preparing for my icebreaker speech, not that this is one of my worst experiences ever, but I wanted to take a moment to think back and remember all the times I've given a speech or spoken in front of a group of people. After all, if experience is the best teacher, then I wanted to remind myself that I have done this a plethora of times and there's nothing to worry about. Mr. Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests, I didn't have to think very long because other than the speeches you recite in grade school, I could only think of one other time where I had to perform a real speech in front of real people. I remember it was a crisp, sunny afternoon at the end of March 2013, Easter weekend to be exact. Family and friends had gathered for an important event, and I was tasked with delivering the keynote. Everyone was counting on me to say some really wise words. I had to nail this speech, but I was feeling nervous, anxious even. It's like I'm back in grade 7 and all eyes are on me. I was consumed with memories of a racing heart and sweaty palms, shortness of breath, and I was thinking, oh no, here we go again. My thoughts were interrupted by the MC calling my name. Jason, please make your way to the front. Deep breath. It was time. I made it out of my seat and to the front of the room with no major mishaps. The glass of champagne from my post-speech toast was still intact, not a drop was spilled. And there I was, standing in front of the room. I took a deep breath in, slowly exhaled, and I turned to face the audience. And a quiet calm came over me. The room we were in had opened up, and it felt as if it was holding space for me. And the way the room was decorated, it appears as if the curtains are swooping down to give me a hug. The room was saying, there's nothing to worry about here. A plethora of speeches have been given in this room. Proceed with confidence. I exhaled again. I scanned the audience from left to right, soaking in the room. I could feel my heart beating in my throat. Everyone was looking at me in anticipation of my first words. Feeling a sudden burst of confidence, I smiled, I opened my mouth and said, but before we get into that though, I wanted to provide some background. You see, since those days in grade school, I have always dreaded standing in front of a group. Everyone's staring, hanging on your every word. And if you didn't have a very good experience the first time, it's easy to hang on to those memories and think that every time you speak in a group setting that the experience will be terrible. But something happened on that day though. For all the nerves I had leading up to that moment, once the moment arrived, I was completely at ease. It was as if this is where I was meant to be. No nerves, no fear, just calmness. I felt empowered. I gave that speech and had everyone captivated. Like, how is this possible? Like just a few minutes ago, I was dreading this moment, and now I'm owning the moment. And ever since then, I've been searching for that feeling, yet not knowing how to get it back. Like for as long as I can remember, every time there was an opportunity to speak somewhere, I shied away. I sank in my seat or turned down any request. No, thank you. Years went by and I never made the connection. I had no idea that I had to put myself out there in order to attain that feeling of lightness, of assurance, that feeling of having complete ownership of my body and brain, that confidence of knowing that what I'm saying has merit and people are listening. Research professor Brené Brown, author of such books as Daring Greatly and Braving the Wilderness, says that there is no courage without vulnerability. You have to show up and put yourself out there. Can you think of one moment in your life that didn't require risk, uncertainty, and emotional exposure? I can't. I wanted that feeling, but I didn't want to expose myself to get it. Put myself in a vulnerable position. Like, why would anyone deliberately choose to do this? Little did I know that by facing my fear, I would find my future. After avoiding it for many years, I decided that enough is enough. What got me here won't get me there. It's time to try new things, leave my comfort zone more often. After all, this is where all the growth happens, right? You simply cannot grow when you're living a small life, living in fear, or afraid to take risks. One of the reasons I decided to join Toastmasters was to build up my confidence, to practice putting myself out there and practice vulnerability, to learn and develop the skills that will put me in demand. Take advantage of every opportunity to speak so that when the time comes, I will be prepared. Like any athlete already knows, most of the work happens during training, not during the game. And so, fellow Toastmasters, with your help, your guidance and leadership, it is my goal to take all of these experiences, good and bad, and turn them into lessons to be shared. Oh, and for those of you who are still wondering about the only other time I had to perform a speech, that was my wedding speech. And I can confidently say the feeling I felt on that day has come back to join me. Thank you.